there's some ignorance going on here of how the system actually works and whose responsibility is to do what.
Criminal defense attorneys in North Dakota are scrutinizing Marsy's Law, which supporters say is supposed to increase the rights for victims of crime. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Christine Stanwood. Those attorneys want you to be informed of laws already in the books, protecting the victims of crime before you sign a petition to get it on the November 2016 ballot. Valley News Team's Cornelius Hawker sat down with a criminal defense attorney who says advocates of Marsy's Law are simply uninformed.
This proposed constitutional amendment would ensure equal rights for crime victims, elevating those rights to the same legal level as the accused criminal defendants.
Chair of the sponsoring committee of Marsy's Law for North Dakota, Kathleen Wrigley, is firm in her belief. Marsy's Law is much needed. Supporters of it are ecstatic because the petition can now be circulated after approval from the North Dakota Secretary of State. However, longtime criminal defense attorney Monty Mertz has a different perspective on this issue.
A solution looking for a problem. It's just not needed. And I think it could really backfire.
Backfire because this law, aimed to protect victims of crime, could end up re-victimizing the victims it was meant to protect, according to Mertz.
If they prohibit defense attorneys from interviewing alleged victims, then the only recourse would be to question them in open court.
An open court where the alleged victim would have to face the alleged criminal, all while telling potentially humiliating details.
The right to be placed on notice.
Informed of the criminal charges when they're filed, notice of pretrial release, that's a bail. They have the right to be notified if the defendant is released.
The right and the freedom from harassment and intimidation.
As the chief public defender, I don't tolerate my clients, my staff attorneys, any of the people under my purview. We don't tolerate harassment of victims. We don't do it. It doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen.
Mertz and many criminal defense attorneys agree Marsy's Law for North Dakota, though well-intended, is coming from a place of misinformation.
We need to enforce the laws that are already on the books. We need to figure out, okay, who's dropping the ball here? Not layer on, especially not put it in the Constitution. I mean, that's overkill.
On valleynewslive.com, you'll find links to laws already in place in North Dakota meant to protect victims of crime. They've been in place for more than 25 years. I'll be contacting Kathleen Wrigley to see what she has to say to the criminal defense attorneys in our state that aren't on board with Marsy's Law. Christine?
Thanks, Cornelius. Wrigley's comments came from the press conference last week in Fargo, telling people they were submitting Marsy's Law to Secretary of State Al Jaeger. The petition to put Marsy's Law on the 2016 ballot must have nearly 27,000 signatures before July 11th in 2016. Well, a new study says you're paying more for the women's gifts than men's. A Consumer Affairs report reported 800 men and women versions of products. Results say items packaged for women are 7% more expensive. One example explains how a certain scooter sold at Target for boys costs $24.99, and the same exact version sold in pink for girls runs nearly double. That's $49.99.
I believe that it is fully sexist, you know what I mean, about the different, pricing girl stuff higher to boys, because I have 3 boys, so yeah. And every time I've shopped for girls, I'm like, wow.
What do you think about that?
Well, I think it's price and demand. If there's more of a demand for the girls' bikes, then you're going to raise the price. It makes perfect sense to me.
To read more about the study and other product price difference, head to valleynewslive.com and click on this story. Police arrested some protesters with the Black Lives Matter movement at the Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport today. Protesters were arrested for causing significant traffic disruptions. They were originally demonstrating at the Mall of America, but some of the protesters headed inside 2 of the terminals in the airport, which then forced officials to close security checkpoints. The situation became so heated at the airport that one man was dragged to the ground by police for shoving a female officer. Another officer then ordered onlookers to get back. It's unclear how many arrests were made. This Christmas is very special for a Grand Forks family. It's the first time in 3 months the whole family is home. Everly Peterson had complications at birth and she wasn't able to eat. She was born in Fargo and then moved to Wisconsin Children's Hospital that had a specialist for intestinal issues. Because doctors can't determine what's wrong with Everly, they've had to send her home. Doctors think it might be a rare genetic disease which impacts digestion. Baby Everly eats by using a feeding tube that allows her to get nutrients straight into her bloodstream. Doctors say Everly is the $1 million baby. A fund has been set up to raise money for Everly. The goal is $100,000 to help with her medical expenses. To find out how you can help this family or discover more information about baby Everly, click on this story on valleynewslive.com. The Bison are heading back to Frisco, and there are some fans who bought tickets way before the team made it to the championship. One local family decided what better gift to give their daughters than tickets to the game. Giovanna Simic has their story.
They tied history last year. They could, no matter what, by going 5 years in a row, no team has ever done that before, so we'd be a part of history no matter what.
The Greenlees, along with their daughters, are making the trip to Frisco. Misty decided to get tickets when the Bison beat Montana in the second round. They were going to wait until Christmas, but couldn't keep the surprise any longer.
Never been to Frisco. I hear the atmosphere is great, so it'll probably be great to watch a good football game in that stadium.
The girls will be missing their dance recitals while in Frisco, but they feel the price was worth the gamble.
You know, you go to a dance competition every weekend for Dance Line season. This is the Bison Frisco game, 5th year in a row. You never know, it may not happen again.
Besides family bonding, the Greenlees are hoping that the Frisco trip is one they won't forget.
We're hoping for a Bison victory and just to have an experience of somewhere we've never been and then enjoy a 50-degree day in January in another state.
Giovanna Simic, Valley News Live.
Be sure to tune into Valley News Live and valleynewslive.com for all of your Bison coverage. As many get ready to enjoy the holidays with family and friends, one U.S. Senator wants to draw attention to those who may not have a family to spend it with or even have food on the table. Hundreds of people came out to the Capitol today in Washington to enjoy a free dinner and some special gifts just before the Christmas holiday. These men and women are only a fraction of those who will be living on the streets this holiday season. Pennsylvania Senator Bob Casey has been fighting in Congress to expand access to food for those in need. Senator Casey believes that it isn't just during the holidays that we should put food on the table. Senator Casey continues to combat hunger and homelessness in Congress. He recently asked for funding for permanent and transitional housing for homeless youth.